We live in a rather negative and divisive culture currently. And as I've gotten older, I've kind of been evaluating my circumstances and my daily life a little bit more closely and comparing them to how they were whenever I was younger. Hence the hyper focus on nostalgia on this channel for the past 6 months or so. And during these analyzations, I've kind of learned a few different things, and some of the things I've talked about in the past, and one of those things is something I'm going to be kind of rehashing again today, and that's the feeling of the community within gaming these days. Community has evolved in a very strange way in the world of gaming. On one hand, with things like Discord and Reddit, you can very easily find a concentrated group for any niche that you have an interest in, whether it be gaming or food or travel or really anything. And when it comes to any of those real-world niches, it's really a great benefit to have those resources right at your fingertips. But gaming's a little bit different because as time has gone on, multiplayer games have become the most popular games in the median. Whether it be back in the day with something like Counter-Strike 1.6 or all the way to nowadays with something like Fortnite, the traction for multiplayer games has just continued to grow and the player base has continued to grow with it. So why does it feel like the community aspect of gaming has changed in a way that I don't want to say is for the worst, but I feel like it's almost a little bit harder to get your foot in the door when it comes to making connections online? I know back in the day, whenever I was playing Modern Warfare 2 or Halo 3, I could just hop into a match and there was a good population that had a mic and was ready to chat, whether they were talking crap or ready to make a friend. There was almost always someone available that was willing to talk. Same thing goes with things like World of Warcraft or old school RuneScape. You log in and you find a relatively populated area, and chances are you're going to find someone who wants to make a connection. And those connections were just a bit more organic. They were more natural. It really was like a virtual recreation of what it's like to make a friend in the real world. It was spontaneous and just kind of happens. And with the inclusion of things like Discord and Reddit, I feel like you kind of have to seek out the community a little bit more. I'm generalizing here, of course, but it just seems like the player bases of a lot of these games have become less and less social, at least proactively anyway. I make these claims, but I understand how unfair these claims can be in many situations because the games that are multiplayer that I frequently play just so happen to be a little bit more on the classic side, such as these old school Call of Duties or older Halo games. So of course with a smaller player base like these games have, players are going to be less proactive to be social because chances are they're just doing the same thing that I'm doing and kind of feeding into their nostalgic desires by jumping into a Black Ops 1 match on a Tuesday afternoon. It seems like not many of these players that are still playing these games are really interested in the social aspect anymore. They just want to hop on the match and feel that same feeling that they had whenever they were kids that 10, 15 years ago. And I can totally understand why some people would feel that way because sometimes whenever I hop online and play these games, I feel the same way. But I always have my mic plugged in just in case someone is in the lobby that wants to chat. And it's not just that we all have mics plugged in but no one's talking, it's just that usually I'm the only one that has a mic plugged in these days. That's not to say I'm better than anyone, it just so happens that the headset I use plugs directly into my Xbox Series X controller and it automatically links my microphone to the game. So I always have a microphone available to me. But I notice that a lot of players just choose not to have a microphone on at all. And I've noticed this happening more and more with modern games too. With something like Halo Infinite, seeing a player that wants to chat and be social in a multiplayer match is kind of a rarity. Whereas in a game like Halo Reach or even Halo 3 back in the day, people always had their mics in if they had one available and were willing to chat or talk crap at any moment. And when I think about modern Call of Duty, it's pretty hard to have a conversation in modern Call of Duty because if you say even something that remotely sounds like an insult, there's risk of being banned on the spot. The automated censorship of modern games like this just kind of force players to not speak at all or to just stay in their Xbox Live party chats and chat with their friends like they always do. And I totally understand that because as gamers and as people in general, we tend to like to stay in our cliques because that's our comfort zone. And these days, I feel like people aren't as willing to step outside of their comfort zone. In a real-world sense, that tends to be hiding behind their phone, and on a game, they just tend to stay on mute or don't plug their mics in at all. I'm just venting here a little bit, but at the same time, I really appreciate platforms like Discord and Reddit because it gives you a direct access point to be a part of a community of like-minded people or people that have a same interest as you. For instance, my own personal Discord. It gives me great access to people who enjoy my videos and videos like mine, and I'm able to talk to the people that have the same interest in me in Call of Duty commentaries. But the kind of random aspect and spontaneity of just connecting with someone in a random Call of Duty lobby or a random Fortnite lobby, a random Halo lobby, whatever it may be, just doesn't really happen these days. It's pretty rare in my experience. And that's one of the major reasons why I appreciate the modern Call of Duty commentary community so much. As a community, it seems like we've kind of found a way to rekindle that spontaneous, nostalgic feeling of connecting with people on a whim. I've seen it happen just recently with that spontaneous live stream from Call Me Crazy, Manny Ladd, Slats, and Raw Lens Gaming. These were guys that didn't really know each other all that well and hadn't really talked all that much as a group, but they decided that it would be fun just to connect and relive the old days of playing with some random people or some new buddies on a game that they all love. And it showed. It was a great experience. It was fun to watch, and it seems like they all had a lot of fun. And it was the result of a spontaneous idea to just do something, to take a chance and connect with people that you didn't really know, and it worked out great. In a culture that's so chronically online, I think we have to make the extra effort to reach out and make connections with people where back in the day, phones weren't the distraction back then as they are now. They weren't mini supercomputers. They were just meant to text and call your mom. So social awkwardness and social anxiety was a less common thing. I recall being a homeschool kid and going to a public school for the very first time, and yes, I was nervous trying to make new friends for the first time in a very long time, but it didn't take me long to find a new connection and make a new friend. Same thing when I was a preteen and I moved cross country. I didn't have any friends or knew anyone or had any familiarity in my new environment, but within a week's time I had a new friend. I feel like in this day and age, people are more hesitant to just make a new connection on a whim. And I think these newer social hurdles have kind of trickled into the gaming space as well. I know I'm probably sounding like an old head or an unk, as the kids say, but I'm by no means saying that community's dead. I'm just saying that it's changed and it's evolved, and as I've gotten older, it's been kind of hard to adapt myself into what the modern expectation of what being social or a community is in the modern gaming world. Things sure have changed, and things sure are different. And as we continue to age, lay the old ways to rest, and embrace the new methods of finding community, I'm happy that community is alive and well. Navigating it, on the other hand, can sure be a challenge in this rather unique online space, but I'm glad it can still be done. And as long as I'm making content, I'll never stop seeking it out.